Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Poets and Quants' online MBA Student Perspective panel. Today, we're joined by current students and alumni for Northeastern D'Amore-McKim, Boston Questrom, UMass Isenberg, and Bentley McCallum. I'm your host, Christy Blyzeffer of Poets and Quants. Please feel free to use the Q&A function to submit any questions you have for our panelists. I'll do my best to get to those at the end of the session. Well, let's begin by getting to know our panelists, and thank you so much, all of you, for giving us your time and expertise. If you would each just take a minute to introduce yourself, your current role in company, your online MBA, and a fun fact about yourself. And Shubi, do we want to start, please?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Shubi Tripathi. I have 6 years of experience in manufacturing quality operations, and currently I work as an applications engineer at Cummins. This is a company working in the green energy space, specifically hydrogen. Fun fact about me, I've lived in 5 different countries, and I hope to continue increasing that number.
Wow, that's great. Brandon, how about you?
Hi everyone, my name is Brandon Neal. I'm the senior producer in the President's Office at the Juilliard School in New York City. I went to the Boston Questrom School from Louisville, Kentucky, but live here in New York City. Fun fact about me is I collect a lot of artwork, primarily from queer and Black artists and folk art from around the world as well.
Oh, thank you. That's a great show and tell. It made me look immediately at the artwork behind you. Yusuf.
Hi, my name is Yusuf Rahullah. I'm a family physician by training. About 5 years ago, I decided to pursue my MBA with UMass. I completed it in 22. Right now, I'm currently still managing my private practice, but also looking to pivot into other roles as a healthcare administrator. Fun fact about myself, I am a cinephile. I love movies, I love TV, I love shows, I love everything entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Mary, what about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Casey. I'm in the graduate MBA program at Bentley University, the McCallum School of Business. I own a marketing company, so that is what I do for work. And a fun fact about me, I love to run. I'm a big runner, half marathons. I even coach running on the side. So
Oh, very good. Thank you so much. And again, each of you, thanks for taking, time out of your busy schedules to help other students kind of gauge some programs they might be interested in. So Brandon, we'll put the next question to you. Tell us what led you to pursue an online MBA. Maybe kind of talk us through your thought process. And did you consider, other degrees like a full-time or part-time in-person MBA? And what were the factors that led you to your program?
Well, in the performing arts, experience really means a lot. So taking time away to go to school for 2 years wasn't really an option for me to stay on the trajectory of my career. So having an online option was really a sustainable way for me to grow educationally while also being committed to my work. I luckily one of my best friends, who's like my sister, went through the Questrom School online business program and talked so highly of it that it encouraged me to do it. I also want to eventually transition and start my own production company. So it was a great opportunity for me to understand the skills in business and leadership and all those things that aren't as tangible when you're doing the day-to-day producing in the arts kind of work. It just kind of gave me a new view and a layer of what I needed to eventually reach those end goals for myself.
Yeah. Was there anything specific about Questrom that made it really stand out for you?
Yeah, I felt like a lot of warmth from the staff there, from the faculty, from the informational sessions. Everyone was very helpful, very encouraging, which gave me a lot of peace because I was very nervous to take on my full-time work and be a full-time online student. So it really helped me kind of frame like, okay, I can do this and I can be successful at it at the same time.
Absolutely. Yusuf.
So I was in the process of looking through various different MBA programs and found one that was connected through the American Academy of Physician Leaders, which was an organization geared towards making physician leaders in healthcare. Surprisingly, we're not leaders in healthcare, but and one of the programs was UMass Isenberg. So along with the other 4 or 5 programs that had a connection with them, I found UMass was similar to what Brandon felt, warm, um, inviting. There was a lot of other physicians in the program that kind of helped me realize that I can do it too. They've done it, I can do it. Again, very similar to what Brandon was saying, I didn't have time to go to school all day long. I needed to have family, have work, have hospital calls, all these things going on at the same time. I needed to take my time with it and pace myself. So the program allowed me to, just take one class a quarter and get through it on my own pace. So that was one of the main reasons I picked UMass Isenberg.
Absolutely. Mary, tell us a little bit more about your kind of online MBA journey.
Yeah. So I was looking for an MBA online. I actually have a master's degree from another institution previously that was all online as well. So I was very familiar with that process. And that was really the only thing that was going to work for me, was fully online and kind of like that go at your own pace online, not, I know some institutions, it's like log in at this time for your class and that's the online version. And that just also like didn't work for me. At the time, I was working full time for other employers. And so I didn't have time to sit in class during the day. I didn't have time to go to class in the evenings, like, to other responsibilities. So an online MBA was the only thing that was going to work for me. And as far as Bentley, I mean this when I say it, I didn't want to get an MBA from any other school. Like, Bentley was the one that I wanted it from, and I just had to kind of wait patiently until they actually had the online program that was going to work for me. So I was very excited when I could finally do that.
Very good. Thank you. Shubi.
I wanted to advance my education without disrupting my career or my personal life, so online option worked the best. And specifically with Northeastern, like they offered flexibility. It was a brand new redesigned program that they launched in 2022, and I was able to join the first cohorts of students doing it. And I was able to graduate in 2024 in July. So it went by really fast. It was really fresh content, redesigned. The teachers were wonderful and it was very affordable. So I really enjoyed the program.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting to be among the first cohort of something new. I guess they're also experimenting with you, so you
Yeah.
can get away with that. Yusuf, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the learning experience at UMass? The flexibility, course load, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I took one class a quarter, so it remained fairly flexible. And kind of looking back, I think I could have taken 2. So roughly about 5 to 6 hours a week was spent after hours for me. Majority of it was already pre-recorded lessons and plans from the professors. We had a communication board that we talked amongst each other in class at your own pace within a certain time. So professor would put a question down based on the reading material and the lecture material that week. And you had 24 hours to respond, and you had another 24 hours to respond to your response. So it was a lot of engagement, it was a lot of interaction with them, and you always had access to everybody else's in contact. So you can always email somebody if you had more questions or concerns. That was kind of the main format. There were some classes that were just kind of on your own completely. Some that required a lot more hands-on and discussions with the rest of the class. As you can see, like statistics doesn't really require a whole lot of in-person training. You have questions, you ask somebody, but other than that, it's just on your own. Whereas organizational behavior requires a lot of back and forth. So it was nice that it wasn't just rigid. There was a lot of flexibility within the class, within the types of class, within the program itself.
Was there a lot of group work, or did you at least have the opportunity to do some group work?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was like 2 or 3 group projects that I recall. The last one that we did was for organizational behavior. It was I'm sorry, it was for leadership. It was a lot of fun. Just kind of we had to watch a movie, and then we took the leadership skills from that, and then we presented it to the class. So it was fun.
Oh, great. What movie did you watch?
It was the one with Kevin Costner, and he was I forget the name. I can't recall it right
Okay.
now. Sorry, but it has to do with him. McFarland, that's it. McFarland
Okay.
USA. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it was. Yeah.
Mary, how about at Bentley? The learning experience.
Sure, yeah. So things are a little more like intensive with Bentley because the classes are 6 weeks only, so they're very short. So you have a lot of material to cover in just a short amount of time. That being said, there is still that flexibility, and every professor has kind of done it a little bit differently. Some it might be, here's everything that you need to do, and it's due Sunday this time. And you just get it done. You figure it out in your schedule. And other professors have due dates throughout the week, which is just a little bit more, regimented, but it's kind of just who you get as a professor and how they run the class. There's a lot of discussion-based tasks that you do, which is even better because you're learning from your classmates as well. And then I would say it's about 50-50 with group work. Like half the classes I've had have had group work, and then others it's been all individual.
Yeah. Do you think that group work is helping you kind of like learn skills that navigate kind of this new remote work system we're all in now?
Yeah, especially when you're all trying to find a time to meet.
Yeah.
It's all like we all have different schedules. We're all in different, phases of our life. Some students are full-time students still, and some are, working parents. And so you're just trying to fit time in to talk to each other and get the projects done it's definitely it's definitely
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Shubi, how about the learning experience at Northeastern?
Yeah, so we had 7 week sessions, and I usually did 2 classes every 7 weeks. There was a lot of group work involved, so I worked with a lot of different students, got to know them. We also had weekly Faculty Connect sessions. So these were live sessions that were also recorded if you couldn't make the time, but I liked attending them because I got to know my professors and the other students in my cohort. The course load was manageable. You really had to manage your time well. Some classes were definitely harder than others and took a lot more time. Projects were definitely challenging, but also like a really good learning experience. I definitely learned a lot. The
Yeah.
biggest benefit that everything was mostly due on Thursdays or Sundays, so I could plan out my week and I knew how to make everything work so I could turn everything in on time.
Yeah, absolutely. On those 2 classes per 7 week session, did you have an option to take, less if something was really crazy was going on in your work life that term, or even more if was there flexibility there, or was it pretty set?
So the 2 per semester was kind of my choice. That is what I figured out I could balance. But yeah, they were very flexible. You could take 1 class or you could go up to 3. And one summer I just wanted to travel, so I did also take a summer off.
Oh, great. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree with that very much. You have to work that in.
Yeah.
Brandon, how about at Questrom, the learning experience?
At Questrom, there are 6 mods that you do that act as like your semester. So like your fall, spring, and summer. And you can take those straight through, which is what I did, which, you know, only for the brave of heart, I think, is a lot of work. Or you can split it up and do it in 3 years, or I think you can even spread it out even further than that. There's an allotment of time that you have to complete all 6 mods. But yeah, each mod is flexible in its own way. They're all very different. Instead of like focusing on one class, you're focusing on multiple kinds of concepts and courseworks that are kind of umbrellaed under a specific topic that you explore throughout the entire semester. There's a ton of group work. You're connected with a different group every single day. The challenge with that, with the group work, is that you're often paired with people from other parts of the world, not just the country. So, there were times where I had colleagues on my team that were in India and had colleagues that were on my team that were in Japan, which was really cool because there was just, this cultural exchange while also talking about business and world economics and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it always kind of was an exciting kind of atmosphere to always go day to day with your group and connect with them every week and do a lot of group projects. There's also solo work and reading that you had to do and quizzes and tests. And then we had regular 2-hour classes on Thursdays where we would meet either in the morning or in the evenings. And those were sometimes recorded, but sometimes they were mandatories that you had to be there. So it just depends on what was going on that day. I think the Questrom School is definitely a rigorous course. It is definitely manageable, but you really have to get ahead of managing yourself and your life at the front end so you can be successful at the back end. But I think honestly, I can't think of a better program to have gone through to really kind of ingrain some real strong fundamentals and basics and foundation for myself as I go forward.
Yeah. Was there something about those, those mandatory classes when you're logging in with other people at the same time? Was there something, that was valuable about that, even if you were like completely busy and had to work it in?
I think it's always valuable to have like exchange with your colleagues in person. And often in those classes, you're talking or communicating or even doing like little side groupings with students that you don't see every week. And so there were many, many times throughout a mod that I would work with a different student every single week or meet someone new or connect with someone new. And that's always fascinating because you're just, sharing different perspectives. You rarely agree on anything, but that's kind of the point of going back to schools is that disagreement and that exploration of thought.
Absolutely. Well, talking with you guys, maybe more than any other panel I've done, you guys clearly have really full careers outside of the online MBA. So let's talk a little bit about that work-life balance and some tips that you guys have for students considering an online MBA for making it work. And let's start with Mary, please.
Great. Yeah. So for me, I kind of like we do have the flexibility, right? But doing, you're trying to grow your own business, trying to work with clients and stuff, a lot of times that is going to be the number one priority. And so a lot of times that's how I'll start my week. So I sit down on Monday and it's like, okay, let me look at my week. What do I have? What do I need to get done for my clients? And then where can I sprinkle in my classwork? And then I go to, our LMS platform, which we use Brightspace at Bentley. And there's this wonderful feature that I really nerd out over this, but it's the calendar feature. And it just shows you the whole month and all of the assignments and everything get synced to that calendar. So I can see exactly like, okay, this is what's due here. This is what's due here. And I can fit that in with my schedule. And it's just kind of figuring out where you can kind of slow down on some things and then maybe go into the coursework or like throughout your day. And I feel like that's just something I start my week that way. And that just kind of keeps me organized and allows me to give my clients the attention that needs, my business the attention that needs. And then, of course, the MBA program.
Oh, great advice. Shubi, what about you?
Yeah, I think a big part of being successful in an online program is planning everything and making sure your week is set up right. Time blocking is what I used a lot, setting aside hours like this is when I'll study, this is time for work, and then family time as well. I think it's very important to have small ways to recharge, like quick walks with the dog or family time or weekends to travel to help prevent burnout because you're constantly working either at work or studying. So it's
Yeah,
important to have that.
I think that's, so many people overlook that, but you just absolutely cannot when you're doing both at the same time. Brandon, if you don't mind.
Yeah, in performing arts, there's a lot of late nights. And usually, that is also the time to do your work. So there are many times I was in the middle of rehearsals or in between breaks, responding to my group mates or doing quizzes or doing some readings and stuff like that. I think, in all, when you take on any program, you really just have to be on the mindset that you are going to be busy and that there are going to be times where you're going to be tired and overwhelmed. And that's part of the process. I think I totally agree with my colleagues on this panel that you really have to find those windows for yourself. To take a break, to step away, to breathe, to not be frustrated with yourself if you've missed something or haven't done something. I think my calendar has been my saving grace, just reminding myself when something is due or when something needs to happen or what conversations need to be had. I think the only way to get around yourself sometimes is to get ahead of yourself. So
Yeah,
that's something that I try to do as much as possible.
yeah, yeah. And Yusuf, trying to balance patience, family, business, class, how did you do it, or what advice do you have?
So I think the first thing was just having a discussion with my wife and say, "Is this okay? Can I do this?" And yeah, I promised that they would never take over our family time, and I really tried to stick with it. So I would go off and do my work day. Sometimes in the middle, I would answer questions like we discussed earlier. Professor had posted something. If I had a chance to put it in, put it in. Otherwise, I would usually kind of focus on my study time is after everybody was asleep, after like 9:30, 10, give it an hour and a half, 2 hours. Instead of my TV time, I would kind of sacrifice. I had to sacrifice something, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I sacrificed. So, and it worked out really well. There was sometimes, especially during group projects, where I had to do it during the weekend or after 5, and that was unavoidable. But like Brandon said, and Mary said, it's about sprinkling it in the top somewhere when you can, and also try and get ahead of yourself so you don't fall behind, making sure that you're up to date with things, just managing, taking a step back, look at the bigger picture. You have trouble with, I pick on statistics because I have trouble with it, but you have trouble with it, get ahead of it, make sure you have enough time to work on it, make sure you have enough time to understand it and move on. I think it's definitely manageable if you plan ahead and you realize that there's going to be something that needs to be sacrificed and you're okay with sacrificing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice, everyone. Thank you. Shubi, going back to you, a lot of times MBAs are really kind of focused on that, the specific role, company pivot that they want to make in their careers. And they don't, and maybe secondary to that is the kind of leader a solid MBA program can help them to become. Do you want to talk a little bit about, what your personal development, what kind of personal development you got at your courses at Northeastern and how that, you think is going to help you as you advance?
Yeah. So the program has helped me develop both hard skills and soft skills. So I learned a lot of analytical thinking skills, strategic decision making, and leadership, of course, as well as finance. Like I feel like I can manage my personal finance so much better now. And the ROI has been very good, better career opportunities. I got to change roles as soon as I graduated within my company, but it was a nice move to a more leadership and more technical role than I was in previously. And then a broader network. I really enjoyed connecting with my professors and other students I studied with, and I trust my decision-making skills more as well as my problem-solving skills. So definitely learned a lot.
Absolutely. Very good. And Brandon, what about some of those soft skills at Questrom?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you forget are just like the concepts that make people good humans. And that's something that we really talked about a lot in the leadership, especially in the later mods, about leadership and what it takes to be not only a good person, but a good leader and a good partner in anything that you do. So I think that's one of the things that I've really held on to the most, and just kind of try to carry myself in a very specific way while navigating, especially difficult conversations or difficult people, difficult colleagues, et cetera, and just kind of make sure that the karma that I'm giving out is positive, no matter whatever karma I'm receiving. And then I just had to agree with Shubi on the return on investment. I mean, before I even got into my last semester, I had received a huge pay bump and a huge title change, just based on them knowing that I was on this program and could be looking future wise for myself. So I think it definitely signals to employers and people around you that you're taking your career very seriously.
Yeah, that's so valuable, I think, for prospective students to hear. It's not just some letters. An online program isn't just some letters behind your name. It's like real career progression if you put in the work and choose a great school. Yusuf, how about you? What are some of the soft skills that your program was able to give you?
I think managing my time. It definitely helped me learn that there's other things out there, and you have to kind of look beyond your your um, your guardrails. That there's other things happening. There's other aspects to your life, to a business, and to leadership. And it's not just do this and get it done. There's so many different wheels turning at the same time that no way you're going to know what's happening with all of them. But just being aware that there's different things happening kind of helps you balance out and anticipate problems as they occur. I think that was definitely something that helped me personally and professionally. And I think that the other thing that I really got out of it was just realizing that there's so many other people out there that that are smarter than you and that are more capable and have great insight on what's going on. So just talking to them, talking to your staff, talking to your colleague really gives you a different perspective to solve a problem that you might be racking your brain against.
Yeah, absolutely. Mary, same question.
Yeah. So at Bentley, the concentration for the online MBA is leadership. And that's the one concentration that the program has. And so a lot of the core classes are more focused on like the organization and the strategy and all of that. And then a lot of the electives are more like people and leadership focused. Which when I first started the program, I was working, at other employers, and I was hoping that the MBA was going to help me kind of grow and move up in those ranks. And, the strategy classes and the leadership classes would benefit me there. And then when I did a whole career pivot and started working for myself, it was like, okay, how is this MBA going to help me now that I don't have these, like ranks to climb and stuff? And it was super valuable because leadership is are skills that you use just on the daily, whether you realize it or not. And then some of my classes too, I took a consulting class elective, which that was super beneficial for me because that is kind of basically what my business does. So it's like combining the corporate kind of all the strategy classes with the leadership classes helps you see like, okay, there's the people behind the organization, and there's people behind the decisions that you're making for your company's strategy, and how that affects everyone, employees, clients, all the stakeholders. And so it's not just learning how to make the company more profitable and all of it, it's how to do that ethically and thinking about the humans behind every decision that you make.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. I don't normally think of the people who are going to be their own bosses, getting this so that's a great perspective. Thank you very much. Brandon, tell us about the biggest kind of hallmark experiences that were either most memorable, most impactful, that kind of thing for your time at Questrom.
I think the most impactful is more how my experience within the OMBA program helped me look at my career and work life day to day differently. You start hearing things differently when you're in meetings with your COO, you just start like, oh, I know what that means now. Or like, oh, you're connecting those dots and you're reading financial documents completely different. You're structuring things differently because you're having that experience within your class. I'm taking on a huge amount of budgeting for my projects now, and I do that really seamlessly now because of my experience. So I feel like the tangibles are less big and more like these very specific things that you don't notice until you're like, oh, why can I do that now all of a sudden? And it's because you were trained to do those things without you even thinking about it sometimes. Because I think sometimes in any business program, and I'm curious what my other colleagues feel, is that it's hard to kind of link what you're learning to your real life sometimes. And when I'm coming from like the arts end, it felt very foreign to me. I felt like I was speaking, Japanese versus like my English, that kind of thing. But slowly but surely, like within the first couple of months, there was a mind shift in how I worked in my work itself, and that was because of the OMBA program.
Yeah, I completely relate. I have a literature background, and business acronyms can be their own language sometimes until you know what they're talking about. Yusuf, how about you, the hallmark moments of your program?
I think there's so many. I think that every class had its own benefits and its own kind of takeaway points that has helped me not just professionally but personally as well. If I had to put it in to quantify it, it's just my ability to scale my business. Being private practice, kind of a dying breed of physicians where you don't see many of us out there. We're all kind of part of bigger organizations and everything. And initially I was like, hey, maybe this will help me get into a bigger organization. I can climb a ladder. But after the MBA, I realized, why do I want to do it for someone else when I can do it for myself? Kind of gave me that ability to do that and not be worried that, hey, am I going to go out of business tomorrow? And, and even if I am, figure it out. It gave me those skills that and to kind of suppress that fear of failure, because even if you do fail, you're still kind of roll out of it and move on.
Yeah, that's kind of listening to you say that, kind of, the really kind of maybe interesting and valuable thing about an online MBA for people who have their own businesses or in their own jobs is the ability to take what you're learning and apply it so directly to what, your own practice or your own career. Did you find that you were able to apply that stuff, pretty quickly to your own business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that even forget the business part of it. I just felt like even my interaction with certain patients was different. It just stop looking at everybody don't put them into a category and label them. Everybody has their own perspective and their own way. And this gave me another angle to approach difficult conversations. So yeah, just from that perspective, it changed. And then yeah, also from a business perspective, just how do I budget myself? If I had a big expense coming up, and how do I determine whether or not it's a reasonable expense to do, the ROI, and so yeah, I think that it was definitely helpful on that angle too.
Yeah, absolutely. Mary, what about you? Any hallmark kind of memorable, impactful experiences that you want to share?
Yeah, I think what's been the most impactful for me is just how I'm able to strategize and problem solve now, having gone through much of the program. And then, also really what you were saying is exactly what I was going to say, being able to apply all of the knowledge from class into real life is huge. Even something as simple as like an economics class, like to be able to understand economic policy when that's being discussed, right? Like to understand the words that they're using, what it means, how it affects people is really invaluable. And then, I'll again relate it to like a specific class. I took a class on process improvement, which helped me actually understand the impact that AI is having on organizations these days, because seeing processes and how they flow and how you can, fix portions and make it more efficient and stuff like that, and where do we replace certain tasks with technology and all of this, it really helps me understand the impact that AI is having and why companies are maybe not utilizing it the correct way, or they're seeing negative impacts of it. And so it's like just being able to really take what you're learning and being able to apply it, whether you like realize you're doing it or not, and it's like, oh, I learned this in here, and it's like it's staying with me, and I'm finding, more and more things each day that I can relate back. That's very cool.
Absolutely. And Shubi, how about you?
Yeah, so Northeastern has a huge emphasis on experiential learning. We did a lot of case studies and a lot of like really looking at strategies of individual companies and how they were making decisions. And I really enjoyed that. And I still like enjoy reading the news and being like, oh, they're doing this right and they're doing this wrong. So I feel a lot more confident in my business acumen. And I feel like that has really helped me just like when I'm working in my company, being able to feel more confident because I'm an engineer by background, so I have the technical knowledge, but now I also understand the business side of it, so I just feel more educated. Yeah.
Absolutely, so valuable.
hmm
Well, to close out, then let's just kind of let each of you kind of give me, your big piece of advice for people that are considering an online MBA, and maybe your plug for why they should choose your program. And Yusuf, let's start with you.
So I think the biggest decision you need to make, the biggest factor in your decision should be um, time. I think if you have the time to do this and you have the willpower, the desire to do it, you should do it. When choosing a program, I think you have to look at a lot of different aspects as to like what your current career is and where you want to go with that career. Um, I feel that UMass was a great school for physicians because of the connection that it had with the American Association of Physician Leaders, as well as the amount of physicians that go through this program, and subsequently the relationships that you build with other doctors that can help you can help kind of leverage that in the future as well. Besides physicians, there's other professions that are at the program, which gives you that nice blend of perspectives. So I felt like it was a great choice for me. I would do it again. I think I enjoyed it immensely.
Very good. Thank you so much. Shubi, how about you?
So the key things to consider with an online MBA is cost of the program, university reputation, time for completion, and the flexibility. It really needs to fit in with your life and your schedule personally because it's a huge commitment and it'll take about 2 years to complete. So it's very important to make the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, how about you?
Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. I would say if I could give any piece of advice, I would say if you're going to take this on, remain consistent, no matter what is going on, no matter what is happening, because getting behind in an online program sounds like not a big deal, but it actually is quite a big deal. And there's a lot of work in it, and it moves by super fast and quickly, and you have to absorb a lot that you might not be used to. You'll learn a lot of words that you're not used to. So be consistent and be patient with yourself, I will say. I think through the OMBA program, I was really able to be a part of a really tight and strong community for those 2 years. Very collaborative, very personable, and very wanting you to be successful. Knowing that their program is rigorous, can be tough at times. They want to make sure that you are being as successful as possible. And there's plenty of support systems within OMBA's program to help you achieve that. So that's one of the reasons why I would suggest people look at Boston's program.
Thank you so much. And Mary.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think if you're thinking about an MBA program, I think you have to ask yourself first what you want to do with that MBA, what's your goal with it, and then approach it like you would looking for a job. Do your research. You wouldn't just go work for a company that you didn't look at the ins and outs of. And, like was said before, check, the reputation of the school and see if it fits. You see if that program fits with your lifestyle. It's going to be a good match for you. And I think, for Bentley, I mean, they have a fantastic reputation as a business school. The alumni network is great and supportive. The professors are knowledgeable. They love what they do. They're ranked 11th as the best college in the US. You know, they're a great school. And for me, it was really that reputation that the business program has. And like I said, you know, I just waited patiently for this. I didn't want my MBA from any other school because of that. And I just needed it to fit with my lifestyle. And, you know, it did eventually. And so it's a great choice.
Yeah, great story. It's interesting to you know, knowing that you waited for them to develop a program. I hope that you had an idea that they were working on it.
Yeah,
So,
I did. You know, it was like each year, you know, I would like call and like talk to somebody, and then it like slowly progressed from like in person only to like it's online, but you have to sign into the class, and then like you know, it slowly became what it is now, and I was like, that's fantastic.
Well,
Sign me up.
extra congratulations then to you. Well, and thanks to all of you for taking the time. I know that you guys are so busy, but your perspectives are so valuable to all the other people out there, you know, considering this journey. And of course, thanks to all our viewers. You know, you can be sure to watch all the remaining panel sessions with other top schools in the online space throughout today and tomorrow. And then you can always go to poetsandquants.com for lots more data stories, you know, the stories on those soft skills from online MBA programs that are so important, and looks and deep dives into the programs themselves. And until I talk to you again, thank you so much for listening.